Hello and welcome to the Shatterpoint Jedi Council Interviews number 7, and fresh from the first UK GT win, I am over the moon thrilled to welcome world number 4 and UK number 1 Lewis. How's it going?
It's going really good, thank you. Thank you for such a enthusiastic entrance.
Oh, no worries, mate. Honestly, it's when I first started talking about doing this interview series, there were a selection of names that were there on my list of people to interview. And having never met you, I wasn't sure whether you'd be game to do one of these. But when I came up to Sheffield, I've been up there twice recently. You're exactly the kind of person I want on these kind of interviews to hear your thoughts about the game. Right, so let's kick ourselves off with the kind of question I start everyone with. Basically, how did you get into miniature wargaming, and why did you end up ultimately with Shatterpoint?
Oh God, I think I was 14 when I started miniature wargaming, so I've been at it for nearly 20 years. Um, I think it was just a bit of an escape from school, which progressed further down the line to Aaron Barson, Dracnian. He ended up buying a Shatterpoint starter box. I come home from work, he put it on the table. And I kind of was like, "What's that?" And
Yeah.
he went, "That's Star Wars Shatterpoint." And I was like, "Cool, what's that like?" And he was like, "It's a skirmish game." And we opened it up, and I was just like, "This, this, these models of Sarge Ventress just drew my eye," and I ended up building his entire starter box.
Wow. Okay, so you kind of kick off, as I think as many of us do as a child, kind of go through that. What were you into Games Workshop games, or were you dabbling in other AMG games before Shatterpoint? What's your kind of miniature games background?
So I started off with Warhammer 40k, as we all do, pretty much.
Yep, indeed.
Um, It then developed into Heresy because I wanted more of the historical side of Warhammer's obviously lore. Um,
Sure.
in the meantime, I dabble between all sorts of games. I had Star Wars Armada, I've got Star Wars Legion, I've played Star Wars X-Wing, um, and then it was just another Star Wars game that I could see playing on a 3x3, so a coffee table, which is nice and easy just to quickly set up, and it keeps you within a short play time because time is very few and far between.
Sure. Sure.
Um, and then that was it. I just picked it up, started playing from day one, really.
Amazing. So is it you mentioned there, obviously you got Armada, Legion, so is it the Star Wars IP that's really kind of pulled you into the game? Is that the hook that's got you into the game rather than the game style itself?
Um, Actually, I'll probably get a lot of hate for this, but I couldn't stand Star Wars until we actually started playing Armada.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I started playing Armada, and then I was kind of looking at the ships and how they moved, and then it kind of got me into the lore. And then I was asking Aaron all these questions, and he was like, "Why don't you just go watch the films and like watch some of the series?" And then that was it. It was hook, line, sinker, and I was
Okay, interesting.
pretty much stuck then.
So you weren't. So yeah. I don't necessarily think you'll get lots of hate, but yeah, the fact that you've come at it from a different angle. So you weren't a big Star Wars fan prior to the games, and the games are what introduce you to the Star Wars IP is very interesting, actually. Yeah, that's certainly a different take to it. But I must say I'm thrilled that you've ended up in the game regardless. Even if you weren't a fan of the prequels coming out, growing up or something like that. Yeah, that's fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, haven't heard that before. So obviously, we see a lot of talk at the moment with Legion, for example, being very popular. We've had the announcement from AMG, and we know that there's a more of a focus on the Legion game rather than Shatterpoint. What is it about the game of Shatterpoint that has made you stick with it?
For me personally, is probably the painting aspect because I only have to do a minimum of 6 to 8 models.
Okay, okay. Very much more of a gamer rather than a painter then.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, I do have times where I can just sit down and crack out a lot of painting, but my attention span for that can dwindle, and I can go months without picking up a paintbrush. So the pure simplicity of I get one model, I can do my best on it, and then put it on the table and do
Yeah,
that 8 times is a lot easier
yeah.
than me batch painting 100 B1s for Legion.
Sure, sure, yeah, I completely get that as well, And I think the other thing that that's really appealing, certainly for myself, for Shatterpoint as well, is that as you say, there's okay, we've got however many clone support units right now, but even the clones, each one is an individual model. You're only painting maybe two of the same color scheme as you go through the boxes and stuff. So each model can be very individual.
Yeah, and you can basically make it your own if you really want to, add in extra markings, damage. It's just such a glorious, and there's such a good scale that you really can put some really TLC into them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's something that's also underestimated a lot. I think a lot of people looked at Shatterpoint and went, "Wow, these would be amazing to paint, and paint really, really well." And I think some of the I've spoken about it before on various interviews. I think some of the community painting that's coming out right now with the Shatterpoint minis is phenomenal. I mean, you were up at the GT as well in Sheffield the other week. Some of those squads were absolutely phenomenal in the best painted.
Oh
It's
yeah.
stunning. But I think it's also something that we shouldn't underestimate in the fact that someone who's not maybe as interested in painting can just slap a bit of paint on them, do their best, as you say, and create something that they're proud of.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing about it.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So you mentioned there Aaron who's I believe is he your housemate? The pair of you live together.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I live with Aaron.
Yeah, awesome. But that brings us very nicely on to the community up in Sheffield. So obviously, you've started the game, literally building and playing on the kitchen table. But you've got the outpost up in Sheffield where there's been a few events which I've attended. But what struck me when I went up there was the community and the size of the league that you're running up there. Can you run us through kind of what the state of play was maybe at the beginning of the game, how much interest was up there, and kind of where you are now as well?
Yeah, so when we first started, me and Aaron were started playing. We started taking it into obviously the outpost, and we started getting more and more eyes on, which is good. This is how we met Zombie Hedgehog and
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tully or Tolstar Deluxe, I believe his Longshank's name is.
Yeah, I had the
Um,
pleasure of playing both of them at the GT. Yeah,
yeah, and to be fair, them two do an absolute phenomenal job now taking over the community. So they have a league. We have a league running. I do believe we have 4 groups of 6, so 24 players. And we do have regulars asking for demos, introductions. We always constantly getting new faces, which is absolutely phenomenal for us because more people involved means obviously more events, and more events means more playtime.
yeah. I mean, just touching on that, 24 players in the league. The fact that you've had to go into a pod system, for the leagues is I mean, I can think of almost no games that wouldn't be really chuffed with having a local community of 24 players. That's amazing.
It's really really good for us, and we've broken it all out. So obviously you'll regularly see me, Dracnian, Tolstar and Zombie Hedgehog, you'll usually see us at events. So what we end up doing is we're split into all different 4 groups.
Mm.
One, because we can potentially play each other at events.
Yeah.
2, the other thing is the knowledge that we learn from events. We like to trickle down
Yeah.
to our people that can't get to events or are not quite ready themselves, that they don't feel that they can participate, and we try and encourage them as much as possible. So we separate ourselves out, and that's when we really go to town in the way of, I'm going to run some fun. Whether it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we're just going to have some fun, roll some dice, and have some beers and pretzels while we're doing it.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. And I think that's so healthy. I think it's very easy within a war game kind of setting. It's very easy to isolate new players. Sometimes if you don't have that welcoming approach. And I think the fact that you are, as you say, you've split yourselves off so that you've got different players in different pods of the league, so that you can share that knowledge, share that experience you've got. I think you were when we were chatting up at Sheffield, weren't you? You were saying about you encountered a player who wasn't familiar with with spending force to use Lord Maul. Right, and actually,
Yep.
you should be smacking the damage on that guy. That is what's going to make it good. And then wow, here's a 15 dice clapback when he does finally get wounded. Right, so it's great that even those kind of what we would now maybe term as very basic kind of skills, if you've played the game from the beginning, that to get that translated through into the newer players as quickly as possible, get that base level up, get their knowledge going, get them thinking about the game in a different way. That's fantastic that you guys have found a way to kind of get it done. So, following on from that, then I'm guessing that this community and the strength that you've got in the community must attribute, in some ways, to the fact that you are currently UK number 1 by a very decent margin, and world number 4 on the Longshanks rankings. Now, rankings don't count for everything. But they must count for something with your phenomenal win rate. So is that kind of akin to the fact of the strength of the players that you've got around you in your local scene?
Uh, yeah, I so leading up to an event, I usually put out into our Discord. I'm trying to get as many reps in as possible, like we all do. We all like to prepare for a great big GT,
Yep.
and the community responds, and it is just amazing to see because one, it gets me reps in. 2, it gets people other reps in if they're going to the same event. And we even get people come up to us and be like, can you go for a more competitive game with me? And we will do that. We will do it to a time limit. We will obviously, otherwise we'll be there all day.
Yeah.
We will do it to no take backs, because like in league game we'll do like a little shuffle or something, and we would play it as a tournament should be played, and
Yeah.
people are asking for it, which is great. So, I mean, that makes me a better player, because that's still making me think about what every move I need to do, every millimeter, what's my best positioning, what's my best shot, what's my best choice, um, and it just brings everyone together, which is really good.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, so a question I've got to ask you, because looking on Longshanks for your kind of your overall record since you kind of recorded games of Shatterpoint, you've got an 89% win rate in ranked events. Now that is very, very impressive. Okay, however humble you might be about it, that we cannot dispute that is a phenomenal win rate, right?
Yeah.
But you've got 8 recorded losses in ranked events, and maybe we'll come on to some of those a bit later. But how often do you lose in training games when you're experimenting with something? How often do the losses come? Is it a case of you train with lions, so that when you come up against these cubs at the event, you're ready to crush them?
I mean, I train with good people, and I think we're all good in our own little way. But losses. I in my league game I got 2-0'd by Alex Bloom.
Okay,
He
yeah.
he just come in and he just wrecked me. There was not much I could do. Positioning didn't matter. We were playing strategic positions, and it just didn't go in my favor that day.
So
I
so you
do.
are you are human
Yes,
is what we're saying.
yes, I
Yeah.
do bleed.
Yeah. You're not. There's no General Grievous here. We're there is something going on beneath this exterior that you seem to
Yeah,
have at the moment in the UK scene. Yeah.
yeah. I give up struggles now and then.
Yeah. I mean, we can touch on that in a moment, but I don't think you didn't concede a struggle, did you, in the GT?
No,
No, no. I
no.
mean, yeah. That's and again, I think that's clear that you've got a really good understanding of the game. But it's interesting to hear that even someone as good at the game as you are can be at the mercy of equivalently good position and some unfavourable maybe dice rolls or order deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. So, I mean, let's carry on kind of down this rabbit hole now, because this is really where the meat of the interview I think is going to come. Right, this is the stuff I want to hear about, and I'm sure the people listening want to hear about as well. So I think let's dial it back maybe into pre the first balance update kind of thing. So the tournament scene is building, and obviously you're starting to perform very well. Looking back over your kind of tournament history, you're starting to perform well. Was there a particular play style that you kind of quickly identified early doors, or was it that you were very comfortable playing kind of everything?
Um, I'm quite comfortable playing pretty much anything. When we first started, I mean, oh God, are we going back to 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took Separatists and Anakin and Obi-Wan, I think, to my very first event.
Yeah.
Um, and I got used to, obviously, Gar were popular, Separatists were popular back then, so I got my reps in early doors with those. Um, I just I prefer an all rounder. It comes completely with my training as well. Like when I train, I usually forget my cards. So luckily, my opponent has brought two sets because they're going for training. So what I do is I borrow their other half, and then we see how we go, and then we swap round if time allows us. Um,
So really, you're looking. So maybe not necessarily. So well, as an overall, then you find yourself playing all manner of units, all manner of different lists, different
yep.
combos, things like this, and
Yep.
then maybe as you build into an event, that's when you start to hone in and look at stuff. So would you say that kind of overview is the most important bit? Is it really important that you play? I mean, I don't know if you saw the most recent stat center, or but we saw Grief Karga entering the meta, right now, and I don't know anyone who's bringing Grief Karga to events, right? Would you be playing units like Grief Karga just to see whether something's gonna stick to the wall, and something you might find the small edge that gives you an advantage at a bigger event?
Uh, uh, I've taken Grief Cargo in events previously. I'd done an entire bounty list when we went to a team event. I was the wild card, unfortunately, with that one, because it was two squadrons, um, and yeah, I took bounties. Grief has definitely done me well in the past. I don't know how well he's going to do us in the future, but it
Sure.
would be good to see the meta shift towards potentially that.
Yeah, sure. So, but would you attribute maybe some of your success to the fact that you are seeing reps with lots of different units? So in terms of you're not being caught out by something at a tournament.
Yeah, the only thing I would have got caught out with is the K2 reposition thing that got caught out in our tournament. That would have caught me completely out. I
Oh,
didn't
really?
realize. Yeah, I didn't realize how that
Oh.
interacted. So
Oh, fascinating, fascinating. Well, I mean, this is an interesting one then for the maybe the north. We'll call it the north and south meta, right, of the UK, because I would say down south, that's we've been like I've been very very aware of that. Certainly in my local community, other local events. Yeah, you repo K2 to then do the damage, right? Like that's been a kind of a standard play, very 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 early doors with K2. But maybe that's also then, I'd love to touch on the kind of the meta in the Sheffield area. It seems, with your with the different list building, whereas a lot of maybe down south we see a fair amount of K2, but maybe not so much Luke. Whereas up with you guys, it seems that Luke is just like a standard pick in the Rebels list. Secondary Luke.
uh, yeah, we actually, yeah. To be fair, we have quite a few Luke, secondary Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker, which is pretty good. Up our way. Yeah, we don't take K2 as much. I think the only person I do know is Zombie Hedgehog, and he seemed to have some good luck with that.
Yeah,
We
no,
seem
yeah, for
to
sure.
either balance between Luke or Callus
Mm,
for potential rerolls, and then Ezra really is our tiebreaker,
yeah,
winning objectives potential.
yeah, love an Ezra for sure. Yeah, and it was definitely interesting because you mentioned about getting some reps in and stuff prior to big events. I had the local guys running Luke into me because I haven't seen Luke on the table. And I knew that you guys would be running Luke, so I had to see what Luke was going to do, right? So yeah, it's fascinating that even in a place so small as the UK, with we've definitely got a few pockets,
Yeah.
pockets of stuff going on. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, touching on that, then your GT list, you ran a point down. Did you run a squad point down in your
I,
list?
w-
Was it?
I was a squad point down, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk through your GT list then for the most recent UK GT, which no surprise you managed to get the win there. Didn't lose a struggle. But yeah, your Rebel list, yeah, it was it Cassian,
Uh,
Ezra, and the Rebel Commandos.
it was yeah, Cassian Ezra Rebel Commandos, with Jinoso, oh,
Luke,
brain fog.
was it Luke?
Yes,
Yeah,
Luke.
yeah,
Yeah,
Luke.
sorry, there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Base Centurion.
Yeah, Base Centurion. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So why were you happy playing a point down? Are you that confident in the Cassian meta right now, or is it that Ezra is just too good as a tiebreaker?
It was probably more Luke Skywalker was just my support piece,
Okay.
um, because everyone, I've had a few people ask me this question. As like,
Yeah.
is it just a flex? I'm like, no, no, just Luke Skywalker just does me so well. With, um, I'd even posted in Red Mandos because they were like, why were you a point down? And I was
Yeah.
like, with Luke Skywalker, if I've positioned him in the right place with Rebel Commandos command doctrines, I can dash, get a hunker. As long as I'm within 3, I'm getting a reroll. And we
Mm.
all know that Rebel Commandos can dish out some damage if they get that max track. And with a 2 dice potential reroll,
Yeah.
that can guarantee me down that track a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You suddenly find yourself hitting that reposition, maybe even,
ex-
yeah.
yep.
Let alone 3 steps. We're suddenly looking at 5 steps down the tree,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
And that's it. I can then position myself into a place where I can start taking backline objectives. I mean, same with Cassian. Cassian can dash himself and Jin Erso and gain a hunker. He gets it for his turn. She doesn't get it, so I'd have to do something with her. But seeing as she can free 5 dice attack, dash, I could always spend an action point for a hunker again if I need those rerolls.
Nice.
I mean, the limit is as high as you can go and think about the potential moves as and when. Him himself, all he has to do is spend a force. He's got a hunker. As long as I'm not getting bogged down or I have a way of getting out of engagement, them shots are going to come in with a reroll potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How long does it take you to kind of come up with a list like this?
Me, Aaron, and James at last Games Expo. It was a 40-minute car ride back to the hotel, and then we were up until midnight, 1 o'clock, and we are just theorizing, list building, going through what's potential changes, what can we put in, what can we make stronger, what can we take out, what can work better, what triggers better, what keywords work, and we can be out for hours.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear, right? I remember saying I said to James on the weekend at the Sheffield, like I'd gone with my the Kanan, Ezra, and Sabine list. It just so happened that was the same list that had done very well at Adepticon. But I'd done a fair amount of practice and reps with various combos. Leia was in there, various things like that. And I ultimately came to the decision that I wanted to run that list, first of all, because it felt most comfortable. But second of all, when I was up there at the other Sheffield event, I'd clocked how much high ground terrain you'd had up there. And I thought to myself, I bet there is going to be a lot of elevation at this GT. And I thought to myself, bringing Sabine over Callus and Kanan over Leia with those jumps everywhere will suddenly give me mobility across the tables, right?
Yeah.
And so to hear the fact that you guys go so deep into that thought process as well is really good, because I think that's, if you want to do well at the game, I think you need to go into that kind of level, right?
I mean, definitely if you want to hit top 8,
Yeah.
you really need to know what everything's doing, and what's your best move. We can even come back from an event and be like, actually, I would have been better with this character instead,
Sure.
or this overworked, and I could potentially pair that with something better. So I think a lot of it comes down to obviously what we were saying previously, repetition and getting your reps in, and knowing what everything does. So it just ties everything in a nice little neat package.
Yeah, no, amazing. And your other list though, maybe a little bit left field. Was it Galactic Republic? Was it?
It was my tried and tested GAR. Well, actually, it's an alteration to my Games Expo winning list.
Okay. And what is it? Is it just you looked at Boss and went, nah, I'm not interested in bringing full meta, or did you? I noticed that you played them. You played both lists. You did a 2-2 on the first day. So
Yes.
you felt very confident, or was it? Did you actually look at your? Was it a case of feeling confident and not saying you were going to flex, but or was it a case of actually looking at the opponent's lists and saying, actually, the Gar that I've brought do a different job to the rebels?
Um, they they're more aggressive. So
Okay.
whereas Cassian Urso is more reactive. Obviously, I need to wait for you to wound me. If you don't wound me, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
The Gar list is I'm going to be up in your face, doing as much damage as possible to you, um, and doing it that way. So it's just a complete different play style.
Sure.
Uh,
And
and
which one do you prefer both equally, or do you secretly prefer that more aggressive aggressive approach?
if you've seen any of my events and people are like, "Yeah, Lewis, how many wounds did you do?"
Yeah.
I usually get asked that a lot. So
Yeah,
I'm a Vader at heart. If there's damage to be done, I'm gonna do it.
yeah, yeah. Nice. So I mean, just kind of following on from that, is it was the Anakin upgrade? Did you look at that and start salivating because the guy went from being pretty aggressive into not only very aggressive but really a big team player all of a sudden for that Galactic Republic list.
Oh, I needed to sit down. I need. um, I from early events I played Obi Annie, and then I saw this update, and I was like, and oh my god, especially with ARF troopers.
Oh yeah,
And I'm so happy that they got rid of the coordinate fire expose, because it
sure.
meant a little tangent, but they brought Luminara back into the game because she's very good defensively, which is nice to see. But yeah, the change with ARF Troopers, so it just means that if I get a good turn, I can put ARF Troopers in a position that allows me to hit with Annie. I can jump, dash, and then get in range of something else, start double wounding as much as possible. If I get the double wound, 2 force comes back to me. If it's a secondary, I start dashing. If it's a primary, and I get all of the above.
Yeah.
So I will look at a potential 5-point swing if I can with Anakin, the Gar list, and I'll try and do that as best as I can.
Yeah, yeah, and as you say, with that pairing with Obi, it's very fascinating looking at the meta at the moment, because Annie Obi has an atrocious win rate. But you're absolutely right. It's if you're looking at it, with that in mind, then not only do you have that hyper aggressive Anakin turn where you can have a 4-5 point swing, right? But also when you're being hit, you've got Obi just going, all right, well, I guess I'll drop that hunker and just move right back where I was. Right,
Yeah.
How can you bounce back from that? Those swing turns are even harder, right? With a listed like that.
It's definitely hard to come back from, especially if you can get it off once. People just need to stay focused and locked in that game, and I've been able to claw multiple games back from being two away from losing. So just
Wow.
stay in it, stay focused.
Wow, amazing. So something I've kind of talked about a bit on my channel, and certainly I've spoken about in conversation with various people in the community in the UK. Knowledge of missions, the layouts and things like that. What's your kind of view on that? Do you have a photographic memory? Are you able to remember all the layouts and where you need to position? Is that partly why you're so good at winning in two struggles?
Uh, yeah. Um, I have gone through these cards time, and time again, and I know most, if not majority, of the layouts. Unfortunately, the only thing that lets me down is a 33% chance that
Sure.
it's going to be any given right one.
Yep.
Um, so I guess the only education information I can give to people is if you've got a guaranteed struggle win, look at the board and see how much
Yep.
ground you can cover.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, because then that starts dominating you for the next round. It does start your opponent obviously on the back foot, not because you've got a struggle on them, but you're also in a position where you're potentially going to start pipping that second one.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. And is this? I noticed as well. You've got a love of first contact. I too enjoy first contact a lot. I think it's a shame we don't see it as much. Is that partly because you've got the knowledge of the mission deck, and you can lever? That's an extra 1-2% advantage over some people.
Um, a, a lot of hate goes towards first contact.
Yeah,
I like, as you said, you love it. I love it.
yeah,
I took it to Games Expo last year. I've taken it to Sheffield GT this year. Um, with the list, it works definitely a lot better for my rebels.
yeah.
Um,
Your
and
gin,
just
yeah,
having, yeah, I mean, Jin, commandos at range 3 set up, so I can easily pip them 3 points early on if
yeah,
I've got first.
yeah. Very nice.
I can respond if I'm second. But yeah, just having that and playing that, and the others, to me, I don't want to sound dismissive or anything like that, but they're just a bit easier.
Sure.
Like obviously you've got shifting priorities, which is a grid, very simple, and we know that sabotage showdowns are ring. Um, they're, to me, same with strategic positioning. I feel like they're a bit luck based. If you roll hot, you're getting 2 extra points. If
Mm.
you don't roll hot, then you're struggling. Um, with this one, I tell you, the one I'm least educated with is never tell me the odds.
Interesting. Interesting.
But now that I've made that known,
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, right. There we go. Yeah. You heard it here first, guys. If you want to beat Lewis before Wednesday, bring first contact. No, sorry, bring never
Never
tell,
tell me the
never
other.
tell. But if you want to beat him after that, no chance, right? Very good. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think I really like that approach there, and I think it's great to hear, obviously someone of your caliber kind of talking about that thought process and things, but also the fact that you're aware, of your own limitations, right? The fact that you aren't feeling as comfortable with Never Tell Me the Odds. So I guess, that's something of interest, isn't it? During this kind of lull between metas, right? You might bring Never Tell Me the Odds to a couple of league games, right? Just to get a few games on them, right?
I'm gonna have to now after telling
Yeah.
my weakness.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Everyone. Before what we'll see is a huge swing in the UK Games Expo meta now, as everyone turns up with with Never Tell to try and combat yourself.
You're all safe. I can't make it.
Yeah, oh no! What a disaster! What a disaster! Okay, well then there's no hope, right? The before the before the next GT, you'll have got enough reps in. Oh no, that's so funny. I love it. That's brilliant. So I mean, so let's come back to that. Let's come back to that most recent event for you up in Sheffield last weekend. That GT win. Obviously, you've been dominant. You've not conceded a struggle. But I know, you and me, we chat. You're walking around the venue. You were chatting. It's really a really lovely event, really welcoming, really lovely event. Everyone there so kind. But you were chatting away about stuff, and it's whilst you are doing incredibly well at the game, and we cannot shy away from that. You're also you've got that perfect balance of a bit of arrogance and a bit of cockiness, right? But mixed with a humbleness and a humility to say, what, actually, I did win in two struggles, but it was a tight game. Were there any games from that event that really kind of stood out to you as particularly tough games, even though they were 2-0s?
Um, yeah. So before obviously going, I'll try and stay humble. I don't see, like you say, I do a bit of arrogance. But I do like to stay on the more chill side.
Mm-hmm.
I just prefer that. It just makes everyone's day a bit better.
Yeah, sure.
But obviously for the games that I thought I was in, so it was going to be game 3. So I think that was just after lunch.
Yep.
So sleepy, eating a lot of food is always a downfall. And then I knew I had Helen.
Oh, yeah. Helen, yeah.
I've played Helen before. We played, I think it was about August at Stockport's GT. And she plays very well. And the concern I was having is potentially list locking.
Okay.
So as you'll see in my first 2 games, I played Cassian Jin.
Yep.
And I don't usually do that. I usually like to play one of my what I feel is my weaker potential at the early on.
Sure.
So I was going into game 3 knowing that I've either got to play one more Jin, Cassian, or I'm going to have to hope and go for obviously my Gar list. And I then get to Helen and look across, and it's a Gar, and I see Boss, and I'm just like biting my lip, thinking, I need to play Cassian, but I can't because I don't want to be locked in for that last game.
Sure.
So I bit the bullet, and as it started, she got very very good draw off the bat. She drew Boss, so everything moved, and I was like, oh god, right, okay, I've got to come back from this. Started doing my movements and getting into position, and then her next activation was Shatterpoint, and I was like, oh god,
the dream for boss players, yes.
Yeah, this is biting me right in the backside. Luckily enough, she just misplaced on her first movement, so she didn't actually score a point at the back. So with that Shatterpoint, it actually put Fixer backwards, which I appreciated, because obviously no one wants a Fixer in the middle of the board.
No, not early doors, not early doors at all. No.
So how this game was going, I was sweating. I was trying to work out how I'm going to move around this because at this point, I think after that, she had 7 Scorcher. Now 7 Scorcher up in my back line, holding 4 objectives, while I'm struggling to hold one. And this is where, unfortunately, my list starts to shine because Anakin come out,
Yep.
and Anakin just saved my bacon by wounding boss, um, and I just started pulling it back from there. But early doors, the way Helen was playing, um, we even spoke after, and she is an absolutely amazing player. I was very worried in game 3.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and absolute credit to her as well. She took her first tournament win the next day by winning the best of the rest. Didn't make it through to the top 8, unfortunately. Very close to making it through to the top 8, but instead made up for it by winning the best of the rest, which is thoroughly deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was amazing to see her triumph there.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant, brilliant. I mean, and that's fascinating as well. That that it's that combination, isn't it? You've found yourself standing on the precipice of a list lock, and you're wrestling with that idea of do I risk losing a game in round 3, meaning that then I have the list that might win round 4. But then you're in a must-win situation, right? Because it might be that a 2-2 doesn't get through. Depending on how the struggles claimed go, etc. The tiebreakers. So yeah, really, really interesting there. Any other games that stand out from that GT?
Um,
You
yeah.
don't have to. I'm sure
Oh, no, no.
I'm sure every game is memorable. But is there any others that kind of stand out?
The other one is just for lols because it always seems to be me and Tolstar, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Half to him, he plays ever so well.
Yeah.
And in Games Expo, we were playing for first and second place last time, and I pipped him down and put him below James. And as you probably heard at the event, I'd done it again.
Yeah.
So I seem to be his nemesis. So if I do end up coming to a tournament, especially a GT, and I've either got a broken arm, I'm blaming
Sure.
Tolly already.
Sure. Yeah, I think he said after the game, he said, oh, I should have played the Cassian list into him, but I didn't want to face I didn't want to do it again and do a mirror, and he thought, I thought I could do it with this. So yeah, so it's all good. It's really good fun, isn't it? When you run into the local crowd, like at the end of the day, we're all competitors, right? But I can safely say that any of the guys that I play with regularly, if it's a choice between me or them, right? Well, I'd like it to be me, of course, first and foremost. But if it is them, I'm still going to be chuffed, right? So I guess it must be the same with you guys up there as well, right?
Absolutely. I was, to be fair, I was sweating, hoping I didn't draw one of them to begin with, because then it just sets our day up for either we win and then we got to continue winning, or we lose, and then I guess we still got to continue winning. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, I know that first round draw. I mean, yeah, because I played against Ewan in round 1, and he's a decent player, right? And I looked at it and was like, oh God, round 1, I've got to play. There were in the nicest way possible. There were some softer draws in the room, right? And I'm looking at it going, oh right, okay, I probably better drop my Cassian list into this just to stand the best chance of getting through round 1, right? Otherwise, you're on the back foot all day.
I mean, to be fair, I think you did right, especially with Cassian, because we know Ewan is a very aggressive player.
Yeah. No, it was it was a cracking game. Thinking outside of that GT though, just before we kind of wind down, thinking outside that GT, I know again, you and I had a little convo about various bits and pieces. You've lost only a handful of competitive games, right? What? Who are the people that when you are when you go to an event, you look at the list and you go, maybe not. Oh no, that person's going to be there, because I don't think that's your approach, right? That's not the right approach to have. But
Yep.
who are the people where you go, oh,
Hmm.
I want a semi. I want a semi-final against that. I want a final against that person. Who are those? Who are those people? Maybe outside that community that you've got in Sheffield, because obviously someone like Zombie and Toll and stuff. You'd love to play those guys in a final, right? But who are the other people maybe dotted around that you look at the list and go, oh yeah, I hope I get to play them.
So we have from Leeds, it's Pete McCabe. I do
Yeah,
apologise if I've mispronounced his surname. He's an absolute beast, and we have a very fun rivalry where I've beat him in the Swiss, and then he pipped me at Nottingham for the
oh,
win.
nice.
And we've had a lot of back and forth there. He is a big contender of I want him. I want him.
Sure. Yeah, you'd rather
Um,
not get him round one, but
no,
you want to play him during the day at
I
some
want
point.
that. I either want it during the day or I want that finale because that
Yeah.
is just going to be peak epic battle.
Yeah, nice,
um,
nice.
and then a gentleman from the south is I think it's James
Yeah, James
Green.
Green. Yeah, London based. Yeah,
Oh, James Green. Hand on my heart, he is the most friendliest, nicest player I have ever met. He is so welcoming. I cannot big this guy up enough, and I love his thought process, and I've adopted some of it. How he walks around
amazing.
and looks at the board. So playing both these players as well in multiple events has definitely made me a better player. Positioning from Pete, and then looking at a board status from how James looks at things, and just utilizing both aspects. These guys are amazing people to definitely play.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of playing versus Pete, but I've played versus James, and I completely understand it. The guy's an absolute sweetheart, but my God, his brain on Shatterpoint, he's completely analytical. You're absolutely right. He
Phenomenal.
walks around, he looks at every line, like every line of play. He will look at it and analyze it, and then make, if not the best decision, a decision that will then lead to being the best decision, because you didn't realize it was going to be the one. You know,
Yeah,
it's yeah. Oh, the guy's amazing. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's fantastic. Hey, well, I really hope that you're able to get in a few games against them then this year as well at some of those big events, and have that big cinematic finale moment, as you say. That'd be wicked. So kind of just to kind of round out the interview then, like, obviously we've got a balance update, imminently. It could be arriving next week, could be the week after. We know it's coming in May. So we got a balance update coming. But how do you kind of see the game at the moment, in terms of maybe, like, your involvement in it, or the community involvement in it, certainly where you are, and in the wider UK, and then obviously with a balance update on the horizon, but then this speculation about how supported the game is going to be going forward. What are your kind of future goals? So kind of breaking it down into two things. How are you seeing the health of the game at the moment? What are you excited for, and what are your future goals?
So me personally, I think the game's a bit stale at the minute, especially competitive scene wise.
Sure.
Because if, as you can see by the statistics, you saw Cassian and Boss up at the top.
Yep.
So that's definitely telling us something is quite not right, or in the balancing aspect. Because I mean, I'd love to bring something else, but can't go into it and hope that I'm not going to draw them. And I'd rather have them and not need them
Yeah.
than need them and not have them. So for me, it's a bit stale, and it it definitely needs altering. Um, so I'm hoping for this patch to definitely sort out Cassian and Boss. I'm so happy that Padme's getting reworked.
Yep.
because I definitely want date night to come out. Because that would just be great to have on the board, Padme Annie,
Yeah,
especially with
it's that natural it's that natural narrative that
yep.
Shatterpoint offers us without forcing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
lovely.
it's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I also run Snips, Rex, and Annie and Obi, because
Sure.
they're the four mains.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be good to see. I definitely want to. I want to find new combos with that. I just think they need to tone some things down and tone some things up, and potentially just remove some script or something like that. I'm not that educated. I just play the cards as I read them.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that would be cool. I definitely have hope for it. Obviously, as we all do.
Yeah.
But I do want to see. I don't want to see like 20 Cassians and 10 bosses, if you know what I mean. I want to see a nice spread, because if we looked at it, I think there was about 9 or 10 unrepresented primaries. Granted, one's on there that we can't. Yeah, few of them are on there that we can't get at the minute.
Yeah,
for some reason. But I definitely would like to see some of the earlier models that we had from 2024, 2025 definitely come back up into the tournament scene, because I think anything can be played. It's just how well you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I absolutely will stand behind myself and say, I took Cassian and Boss to the event, but much as I love Boss, to play Cassie and Kanan 3 times, or actually 4 times, because I made top 8, so I played 4 times. I actually enjoyed that more than playing the Boss list, and and that's the thing. Like it's I think you're absolutely right. You either have to bring it or you just pray you don't run into it. So and it's not, and that's never going to work at a competitive event. You can't be just going, oh yeah, gosh, I hope they don't bring the top meta list to the first UK GT of the season.
Yep.
So yeah.
The only other thing you're hoping is that you've actually brought a complete counter to it, and then you're hoping that you actually play against it, and you could end up not. So you spiral out that way. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. And so then kind of future goals, right? Obviously, so let's not shy away from it. You're UK number 1, right, on a ranking list that again, rankings are it's the Longshanks ranking is arbitrary, but your win rate is why you're up there, right? You are consistently beating high ranked players, good players at events, and you deserve your title of UK number 1 for sure. I don't doubt that anyone would disagree with that. So when you're at that kind of level, the level you are right now, what are your future goals for tournaments?
One, to still stay where I am, which is quite nice.
Yep.
2, I always want to definitely be friendly with anyone that I meet at an event. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone if they want to talk lists, if they want to talk tactics. I don't mind doing that. If they want to know how my brain ticks on a certain day, I want to be part of the community and stay humble. So that's more important to me than anything. Obviously, I like all the cool toys I get, but I definitely I just want to have fun.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing, right? Some of the people in the Shatterpoint community may be aware of a guy called Jeff Porritt, who is also known as Podfree. He plays Star Wars Legion. Now Podfree also played a lot of Blood Bowl, and that's how I met him. World number 3 at Blood Bowl when I was kind of at my peak as well. We had some cracking games of Blood Bowl against each other, and I remember when he started Legion, and I was chatting to him at the Welsh Open one year at Blood Bowl, and he was talking to me about Legion and how excited he was about Legion. And I said, right, well, what's the kind of key thing behind it? And he looked at me and he went, Steve, the best thing about Legion is that when I'm losing, I'm still playing Star Wars. and and this is coming from a guy who is dominant. Like the guy's won world team championships at Shatterpoint. Sorry, Legion. The guy goes to Legion events, and if he isn't winning or going 3-1, losing to the other top UK player, like that's a really bad day at the office. Right, the guy is world class at any game he touches, and yet underneath all of it was, I'm just playing Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's.
I think. Sorry to cut you there.
No, go for it, mate.
I think the main thing is that's it. It's at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Yeah,
It's just a game, and we're here to have fun.
Absolutely. It's a hobby for a reason, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. If the hobby becomes too stressful, it's no longer a hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I doubt there'll ever come a day where there's prize money in in too many miniature war games. So yeah. Well, Lewis, this has been an absolute pleasure, mate. I think people might, if someone had seen you like in passing or whatever, at an event, having that jovial, that bit of banter with your mates kind of thing, they might get the wrong opinion of you, But I knew that this is who you were going to be. We've taken our time, we've had a chat and stuff, and it's been a really really open and honest conversation. I've really enjoyed this, and whilst I hope that there are others that can chase you down and challenge for that UK number one. I think with your extra training on Never Tell Me the Odds, I don't see why you won't stick up there at the top of the meta. Top of the game. You're a great advocate for Shatterpoint, mate, and the Sheffield community up there is all the stronger for having you involved in it. So thank you so much for giving your time to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Right, well, if you've enjoyed this interview, and my goodness me, if you haven't, I don't know what you're thinking, right? Then smash the follow, smash the like, so that I can continue doing this and hopefully get Lewis on for a couple more interviews as we go further down the line. I've got some other interviews lined up as well. I'll be talking with Ailsa and possibly Louis, who are running the UK Games Expo. We're going to have a chat with them as well. There's a couple of other names that I want to bring in to the fold as well. So there's some interviews coming. I've got a tournament, not this weekend, but next weekend. So there'll be a tournament report, and as always, the Stats Centre will be running as well every week. So thanks again, Lewis, for coming on. Until the next time, everyone. Bye for now.